Jean Carroll. All right. It's a name that's not familiar. I wonder if that's another alias. Jean?
Jean is part of our 7th Streets.
Oh.
She's a block captain here.
Oh, okay. Good. Welcome, Jean. I have not met you before.
Thank you.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Susan.
And Stan has joined us, our president, and
former MON leader.
And MON leader, yes, co-MON leader. Julie, another new name for me. And Julie, what is your last name? So I can show you as attending.
Hi, this is Julie Heinzler.
Oh, great. Oh, she's our brand new MON leader from
Yay!
over
Bravo!
from Ron Wacker.
Yeah, taking over for Ron.
Yeah, welcome, Julie. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're going to get started on our agenda. We're waiting for Liam Lonsdale for item number 1 to follow up on the discussion of security cameras that he did a lot of work on, and we have some more information on that. But before we get into the rest of the agenda, how many of you, raise your hands, were able to attend the fire safety forum? One, two.
Ellen Becker is raising her hand.
Okay.
I saw some of it.
5.
I
Okay.
saw some of it, Julie.
Saw some of it.
Okay, so of those who at least saw some of it, any comments on how we can make these forums better, how we can deliver more information on fire safety? Any comments at all would be welcome.
You know, I saw the first 15 minutes and I was very impressed by the slickness of the webinar and Natasha coming on, and you know, it just seemed like it was, and Peter did a great job. I just feel like it was a very professionally done, and you know, I only saw through John and E, I think, but I will be watching the rest because it was so engaging.
Well, that was good to hear, because I'll tell you, we freaked out because the 3 of us had never done one together before. And Natasha was running TAC and she had done a lot of tech stuff on other platforms, but not on Zoom. So, and there are a lot of innies and outies and lanes that you go down, and it's complicated. And anyway, that's really good to hear, Elaine. Thanks.
Yeah, I didn't attend, but I listened to the whole recording, and I thought I was really impressed with it. Impressed with most of the speakers, and definitely with the presentation. I thought it was great.
Good. I know that we Doug Mosher was on last, and we got the most comments about how we needed more time for Doug. And we did kind of give him the short shrift because we'd had him on several other forums, but we will obviously make up for that because there is demand out there for his information. So we will we'll do you right, Doug. Any other comments about the fire forum and what we need to do? Because actually, it kind of brings us to the next segment, is what we as MON leaders can do to make Piedmont Pines more fire safe and get people to pass their inspections. What can we as a group do?
Robbie, can you hear me? This is Sylvia.
Yes, I can.
One thing that strikes me, and I think I'm particularly aware of this only because we have brand new neighbors moving in next door who have not lived in Montclair before. So my thinking would be that at the very least, MON leaders send out a message as soon as the date is set. And it's likely that whatever the date is for your address will be the inspection date for your neighborhood. And just remind people what it is, what it's about, and how they can find more information. And I would say that anybody who has just moved into your area within the last 12 months probably needs some additional guidance.
Interesting, Sylvia. Yes, there is. in years past, we have had Alan or the vegetation management supervisor do a more detailed presentation than we had time for on this forum. And that forum, I have found out, has been made and recorded, and the link is now on our homepage. So I will send out to all of you the links to that video, so that you can use that with your new neighbors, because it's really informative about what hardscaping looks like and how close you have to be and what they do care about, what they kind of overlook, and it's very helpful. So I will send that out. That's a good suggestion, Sylvia, because
then
our new neighbors who have not been through this before might be baffled.
Hey,
Well-
Robbie, it's Debbie.
Elaine. Oh.
You know, the other thing is the Mon leader, Robbie connects, we send out letters to new residents by address. Mon leaders hopefully will keep an eye on their neighborhood. And if there's a new neighbor that's moved into the house, you can send it to me because I create a welcome bag. And in the welcome bag, I include a flyer from the last year's fire inspection, whatever they sent. And so I'll say, this isn't, keep an eye out for the next one for next year. But, so that's a way of giving them a heads up too. So them getting, we did about 60 last year. I'm 60 new residents. I'm sure there's been more sales, there were more sales, but so if you Mon leaders want to send it to me, we can cross over, kind of check and see if it's on Helen Nicholas's, sales listing and cross-reference and then get a bag out to him or a letter. So, and that's the way. Yep.
Wait a minute,
Elaine,
let's go to Debbie first and then Susan. Debbie, you had a comment?
Well, I was actually just going to comment on Elaine going out and giving the welcome, and maybe we need to put a little bit more. And I know that Doug has some information in all of his tons of information he has, that we could do a one-sheet flyer that maybe Elaine could add to the bag. But I
We
think
do
that I-
Doug's
Okay.
info.
Right, perfect. So I think that's a best first start for all the new neighbors. And I think we all need to be a little bit more, and I've been negligent a little bit too, of when you get a new neighbor, making sure that they're tied in.
I didn't know you did that, so I'm very happy to hear that, and thank you.
Yeah.
And
good.
we'll find out who's new, Barbara and I, and send the names and information to you.
So here's how the new resident thing kind of works from our end is I get notified one way or t'other that somebody is new in the neighborhood and they ask to join Piedmont Pines, and I send them a welcome letter and copy the Mon leader and Elaine. So it triggers Elaine to get them a welcome bag, and it triggers the Mon leader to add them to the local roster.
So do you want them to send it to you instead, Robbie, instead of going to me or through you? Do you want more work?
Copy both of us. No, I'll just check and make sure that they're already on the PPNA roster, or if they're not, they're not.
Okay, that might be good to send Robbie
Yes.
and me.
Yeah.
They.
Us.
Sorry.
Sure.
Okay, Susan, you had your hand up, yeah.
Yeah, just want to be clear about what information you're looking for. Name, address,
And then
email address, cell phone, whatever.
Name, address, and self email address is the fundamental. That's how they
Okay.
get kind of in the roster. Anything else they can add themselves once they get on the home membership page.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else on helping our neighbors become more fire safe? Yes, Barbara. You're muted, Barbara.
So a big obstacle for me in getting my yard cleared is just identifying somebody who can do the work. And so I'm just thinking that maybe the Mon leaders among their neighbors could just say, if you don't know where to start with getting it cleared, talk to some of us, because we can recommend someone to do you can hire to do the clearing.
Good idea.
That's just a sort of a psychological obstacle that
Yeah.
people could use a little help with.
Good.
What we've done in our neighborhood is, there's about 4 of us who actually do it together with somebody. And so it's kind of like letting people know that you're doing it and that so-and-so is doing it to clear the backyard. And so a bunch of us do it on the same day with the same person.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, we do that too.
You mean you hire one person or one something and they clean up 4 yards in a day? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or sometimes they take a second day, but they give each person their own bid and their own price.
Mm-hmm.
But it's convenient for them, it works for them and
Right.
for us too.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you might even think about asking somebody in the neighborhood to volunteer to research providers and get the best price for the neighborhood. So be a good service that the Mon could provide.
Write that
Okay.
down, Barbara.
Anything else on this subject?
Yeah, Robbie,
Yes.
you mentioned the video. I'm not sure which video that is, but Fire Safe Council recorded Adam in a 30-minute presentation that he did. So I just dropped that in the chat as
Good.
well.
That's the one. I think I got your email and I posted it on our homepage, and I'll send it out separately as well.
Okay.
The chat. Oh, there's my chat. Okay. Oh.
What about adopt a lots, adopt a spot?
Okay, good, good.
What's this?
So everybody has access to the chat. You can copy and paste that link and get it out to your neighbors.
I don't think there is any other private lots.
All right. Well,
Bobby,
yes.
I also think it would be good to include the instructions you sent for getting onto Excella to find out your date.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to offer, I will help anybody get their date. It takes me 2.5 seconds because I've done it so many times. But I will send you the play-by-play because there is one step. Anybody who has trouble, it's this one step that they miss, and it's so easy to miss. So I would be happy, just info@piedmontpines.org with their address. It has to be an email that comes from them to me, and I will be happy to get the address.
And we can also send that out in anything we sent out to our
I will get that out to you all. Okay. I'm going to summarize for Liam since he hasn't been able to join us. For those of you new to this group, we had contacted Flock Cameras, or Flock Security, I guess it's called, and had their sales representative look at our area and recommend places where cameras could be for neighborhood security cameras. We found that the price went up. The number of innies and outies into this neighborhood are so many that it is completely unaffordable. We had several people get excited and say, yeah, I'd chip in. But if they chipped in, say it's a 2-year lease for the cameras, they might chip in for year 1, and then year 2, or round 2, we'd have to start all over again. Liam also talked to the police department and found that using the information can be sketchy. The cameras have to be placed on private property, and the access to private, it just got so complicated that we decided it was an untenable situation at the moment. We'll keep an eye on it though. We'd certainly we have so many Ring doorbell cameras now. And I think the main thing for us to do right now is to encourage everybody to get their cameras registered with OPD so that we can become part of the OPD network of footage that they can request when there's a crime. And the other thing about cameras is that they don't deter crime. They only serve as potential evidence in prosecuting a crime. But even then, we have to rely on OPD will use the footage, will prosecute, and there's so many things that just aren't in place right now to warrant the expense. Any comments?
Robbie, how do you connect to OPD to connect your camera?
You don't connect the camera, you register your camera so that if there is a crime in your area, they know to contact you. And I will send out the link to join OPD camera.
Right.
Join camera network. Okay.
Robbie, does it explain kind of how that works? If there's a crime, obviously the crime has to be reported in the area. Are there only certain kinds of crimes that they're going to review as far as footage that you're aware of?
That's a staffing resource more than almost any other aspect.
Of course.
In the ideal sense, there is a community resources officer assigned to each police beat. Ours have been moved to homicide since last September, and I understand they're being moved back slowly as new graduates come out of the academy. Stan recently went to a meeting and reported that we have 2 names, Stan, for, 2 community resource officers, but we have not been in contact with them yet. This is pretty new information, but once we have a community resource officer, we can alert them, at so-and-so has video, this happened, and they look for trends. If they see trends, they will be more apt to follow up and look at the video.
Do they then request it directly from the homeowner?
Or whoever reported it to. If I report it, for example, to the community resources officer, they might ask me for the contact information and I will give that to them.
Sorry, one more question. So we're supposed to report that directly to the community resource officer once we know who that is. Is that the goal, or just is it a general reporting?
Yes, but I want to wait until I'm sure these community resources officers are stable and in place, because
Sure.
that has not been the case.
Sure.
Not Aaron Johnson, but the other one, I forget his name, did appear at the MNC meeting last week and spoke for about 15 minutes. Was very new to this job, didn't really have much to say. He blamed the hack of the city to not having really up-to-date stats, but is at least came to the meetings. First one, I think, in months that he's come to that crime prevention council community event and spoke.
Stan and John Spees and I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with Johnny and her chief of staff, Amber, and we talked about the ideal community resource officer, which has not existed in Montclair, in my experience anyway, for probably 10 years. We used to have a community resources officer named Brad Young, who was so fantastic. He was intuitive, creative, energetic. He got a motorcycle assigned to him because our streets are so twisty turny. He could hide in the bushes with a motorcycle. I gave him quizzes on, I want you to go from Totterdale to Melville Lane I gave him all these twisty small streets so that he would really know our area. And we just were a great team, and I have not had anyone like that to work with since. So that's my goal, my ideal, and that's what I'll be pursuing. Oh, Mary Henderson has joined us. Hi, Mary.
Hello. Sorry to be late.
That's all right. How was the scouting event?
Huge troop now, 203. It's amazing. Very good. Thank you.
Congratulations to your boy. So
Mary
the next
was also at that MNC meeting. I was just telling Mary, the group, that 1C community service officer did speak at the MNC last week, and was very nervous because it was the first time out, but at least he exists. I don't know if you heard more of.
And Stan, I'm sorry, I totally blanked on that meeting because I was watching the playoff with my kids.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh my God. So
Yeah, so that's,
glad you went.
yeah, they're struggling to find leadership and keep an active group going down there.
Dan, which CRO was that was at that meeting?
I forgot his, I'll find it out. It wasn't Aaron, it was a new guy.
Okay.
I'll tell you his name.
And we're doing quite well on time, so good. The next big event coming up there are two actually big events coming up, but one, and they're both in August. One is August Night Out. It is such a great opportunity for the Mons to get their neighborhoods together. Could you raise your hands if you are already planning a National Night Out event? Oh,
Where's
wonderful.
Doug?
Fabulous. Good. Let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you with that. Stan and Mary and I are available to come to your Mon organizations to, hoopla or whatever. We have our own, but we will dash out and help you with yours in any way that we can that you find helpful. Just let us know. And then the other thing in August is August 19th is our family picnic, family fun day. So we'll hope that you will promote that and let us know what you need to help promote that. We have a lot of our members on email, but certainly not everyone. And it would be really helpful if we can produce posters, send you a master, you print them out and deliver them to the mailboxes in your neighborhood where you know the people aren't email connected to us. Is that doable? Okay.
Robbie, I wanted to just give one update that's a little better news on one front anyway, which is I went to the press conference a week or two ago announcing that the fire department had received a grant. Some of you may have heard this already, to put up 4 or 5, Doug I know knows about it, put up 4 or 5 smoke sensors across Montclair, across the hills. And they are a new device that's come out of Denver, someone's research. The woman was out here. She talked about the technical capacity of these sensors to pick up smoke and differentiate it from someone's little barbecue fire, so that if there is a fire starting somewhere along the hills here, and it covers, I think, 360 degrees, they can jump on it right away. And through cameras and this sensor picking up what's actually where the fire is exactly and how where it's blowing and what have you. So they seem very proud of that fact, and hopefully it'll have hopefully none of those fires will start in the hills this summer. But Doug, you have anything to add? Maybe you've heard more about it than I have, but they're in place, and I think being activated as we speak.
Yeah, I believe they are. You noted there are 10 of them, right? The closest ones to us, Piedmont Pines, there's one on Skyline near the entrance to Chabot Space and Science. It's actually right next to that MHA, I think it is Horsemen's Association house that's on Skyline. If you look at the light pole that's there, you'll see the sensor toward the top of the light pole. And the other one is up near, actually right across from Fire Station 6 at Skyline and Snake and Colton. So those are the 2 closest ones. And apparently they have a 2-mile or 3-mile radius, so they overlap.
Right.
Yeah.
So just curious, if they're activated, Doug, do you get notified of that?
No. No. The active or the notification goes to a call center from this company that this company runs, and then if they, I'm not sure if they do any other sort of triage at that point, but they'll forward it immediately on to Oakland Fire Department.
Doug, is this the same network that we were working on private citizens monitoring last year?
Well, no, this is a new technology, and there are new sensors. So no, we hadn't looked at these, and they're being provided to Oakland free for 2 years, as I understand it. So it's a 2-year pilot.
Right.
no cost to Oakland for 2 years, which is good. Yeah, I'll be interested and very curious to see, try to find out how often they are triggered, and what instances they're triggered. If it is somebody having a barbecue in their backyard, there's another one down by Parkhurst, if you know where that is. There's a fire station there off Skyline, just south of Skyline High School, and that sensor is on a light pole, and it's up in the neighborhood. It's right kind of smack in the middle of the neighborhood, Parkhurst. So I'll be curious when people start barbecuing all around it, how it's going to react.
They say not only did they differentiate that kind of smoke from forest fire smoke, but also they have level 1, 2, and 3. They can tell whether it's requiring an immediate single fire engine to show up, or 2 or 3, or call the whole region if looks like it's going to spread. They seemed like they were quite sophisticated in how it assessed the potential for it to be a serious fire. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Did somebody mention how many there are?
10.
10.
Oh, did they deploy 10? Oh, was it 10?
Yeah, there are 10. There were supposed to be more.
Huh?
Can I share my screen?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I can't. Yeah, there were supposed to be more, but they started out with 10. Yeah, I can't share. I was just going to show a picture of one of them. But yeah, it's
10 in Oakland? Oh, is that 10 in Oakland or in Montclair? What's the
10 in Oakland. So it's from the southern edge of Oakland, which is Sheffield Village, down near San Leandro, all the way up to the Berkeley border. So 10.
Okay, I think you should be able to share now.
Yeah, if you're curious, this is what it looks like. They're not very big. They're just a smoke sensor. There's a solar panel, and it's either cellular or satellite. I'm not sure how it does the communications, but that's it.
Great, thanks.
Wow.
Hey, Doug, just a curiosity. So after the 2-year pilot, how much do they want for these?
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know. I don't know.
They'll be so happy that we were willing to pilot it for them. They will deliver.
Yes, Stan. Yes, Stan, sure.
I guess their price may also depend on how effective they were during those 2 years.
How what?
And I'm sort of joking, but I'm saying their price may depend on how effective they were during that 2-year pilot.
That should be
Hmm.
what affects the price.
Right.
And just so I don't want to take up much time, but just so folks are aware, it may not be. There are also wildfire cameras up along the ridge. There's a camera right next to Chabot, next to the Moon Gate in Piedmont Pines, that points out east. There are cameras up on Volmer Peak and on a couple of the other peaks just north of us. So if you go to alertcalifornia.org or alertca.org, I forget, one of the two, or Google Alert California cameras, you'll see there's a network of cameras throughout the state.
Make it louder.
And those have been installed or funded by PG&E and other funders. But yeah, the cameras that are on the ridge, and there's also a camera on the Coliseum, and there's a camera on the Clorox building that points up to the hills.
Wow.
And this alertcalifornia.org is also tying in software to monitor those cameras and look for smoke. Or at night to look for, flame.
Do you know if the insurance companies are aware of these sensors and that?
I don't.
Because that seems to be one of their big reasons for not insuring people is potential fires if we have cameras and smoke detectors.
Steve, you're raising a really critical question for right now is the fire insurance issue for our neighbors. And with two of the big brand names pulling out of California altogether, of course, there's been some talk that they're doing it as a political move to get California to stop all of its what they consider over-regulation of the insurance industry. But
Wait, Robbie, they're not pulling out, they're not insuring new.
yes,
Okay,
sorry.
let's,
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Yes,
okay,
important correction.
Okay.
Yes, very important correction. Now, Steve, I forgot where I was going with my answer or my thought on your comment about insurance.
sorry.
That's all right. No, that was an important.
It's political. You said there was a political.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it'll come back to me. Anything else on things fire, since we are certainly approaching that time of year where, oh, and we might get rain tomorrow.
Yeah.
Probably a drop or two, but at least
Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
Well, if the
so
weather-
I see in
Weather
the
stays
chat
cold, no
that,
fire.
what?
It's been so cold, so I
I
think
know,
like we've been lucky.
I know. I see
It's been
some
like-
important links have been posted in the chat. And when I post the recording, I will copy the chat also so that you will have those links. And thank you, Chris. It looks like you have gotten some good links for us. And Doug. Who else has something for the good of the core here? Anything that's going on that you need help with? I know that Barbara and Ellen have been talking about what kinds of things are appropriate to put on an email listserv and what kinds of things aren't, and are there guidelines? Piedmont Pines has not put together guidelines for what MON listservs should restrict or open to or whatever. But I sent back to them some comments about what channels we use and how we use them, and they do interchange. For example, on Nextdoor, I use Nextdoor when I'm posting officially for Piedmont Pines to post breaking news, recommend service providers, announce events, sell or giveaway stuff, and relay important citywide information. Or it could be statewide information if it pertains to, for example, things like insurance companies. That's what I was going to say. You have a heart was that there is some legislation pending or being discussed. I don't know what stage it's in, about insurance companies giving favorable treatment to those who have hardscapes, those who are in firewise communities, those who, have done all the right things. But that, Doug, unless you know differently, that has not passed, correct?
Which has not passed. Sorry, I was
The insurance, trying to get favorable rates for communities and consumers who have hardscaped, firewise, done all the right things that they can do. I know that's being discussed, but I don't think that has come to fruition.
I believe you're correct. Yeah, there is a bill or a couple bills, and wherever they go when they're discussed.
Okay, so so that Nextdoor is kind of a broad base of the moment. I also put out Piedmont Pines News about monthly, and that's also to announce events, conduct surveys, relay citywide information, test the pulse on emerging issues, solicit dues, summarize trends, issue alerts. So then we get down to the MON category, and self-policing of the MON thing is what works the best. Having one person be the funnel for everything going in and out of your MON is probably the least effective. having a group email where everybody can post and they can police each other, and they do, or they will if something is offensive. So that it's not one person having to decide, should this go out to everybody or not go out to everybody? You don't want to put yourselves in that position of being the censor, the monitor. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of headache. You'll get a lot of grief. So
Voice of experience talking.
yeah, the MON listers, announce. The most important thing, first of all, is to greet new neighbors. Let everybody in the neighborhood know who's moved in and a little bit about them. Make them feel welcome. Alert neighbors to suspicious activity that is within your immediate neighborhood. Seeking opinions and recommendations from those who live closest to you, who might have had a tree guy or a weed whacker or an appliance repair guy. You trust the people you know, and or sometimes not, but and then we also use ours a lot for alerting neighbors when we're going to be doing construction that there will be extra noise or there will be traffic disruptions or whatever. Occasionally you get the complaints about the barking dogs, and we prefer that those go neighbor to neighbor. If you have a neighbor with a barking dog, talk to the neighbor. But if you don't know where the dog is barking from, occasionally we'll see a little bit of that. But just anybody else have anything to add about how you use your local MON listserv?
Well, the one thing I can think of is if somebody's having a big giveaway or estate sale or yard sale. Or we had one woman who baked cookies for everybody through the pandemic. That was acceptable.
Yes. Okay. What else do you want to talk about? We have 20 minutes left. Or we can.
Bobby, I was just curious about, you didn't mention it tonight, but on your email to us, you talked about National Night Out being on August 1st, but any other day would be okay. That's a new idea. I just wondered what that's about.
It is officially the first Tuesday of August, but that doesn't. Tuesdays sometimes just don't work for neighborhoods. Weekends are better or whatever. But if you're going to register with the city and expect the city or want the city to send somebody to visit with you, you have to do it on that date. But that's, I would say, the lowest priority. The higher priority is getting your group together at a date and time that works for them.
If one plus of doing it on the Tuesday is that if you have kids in the neighborhood or people that like fire engines and firemen, some of us do that, but they'll come by and see, especially now. Are you on 7th Streets, which is that's a big, well-organized thing, I think, isn't it? I mean, something like that where you have a lot of people and there might be a lot of kids. They bring hats for the kids, and it's a positive thing, and that's kind of fun.
I was going to ask if in fact the fire department's still doing that. We've done it every year except for one during the pandemic, and we've always had a good turnout. But I'm wondering if maybe I didn't register with the city last year, and that's why we didn't get any representation.
Yes,
because they came by. They came by up here at Moongate.
Okay, I have to remember to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Barbara.
So what does the city do? They send the fire department or police, or who? What does the city do in general?
It varies. The fire department can come. You can get Johnny, or you don't know who you're going to get. They kind of divide it up in the background.
Yeah.
And try to hit as many as they can. I know, Susan, one year I was up in Girvan in your neck of the woods, and there was the biggest fire engine I think I've ever seen.
Oh, that would be cool.
I took my nephew and they let him sit in the driver's seat. And
It was
blow
great.
the horn. It was really cute.
It was great. Yeah.
And the city will send out a packet, and they
Right.
might have a couple balloons or giveaways like pencils or something, and they might have, what else, Doug? They used to give A's tickets to, a couple of A's tickets, kind of thing. But the last year nobody had signed it. Like it was, I don't think, I think the budget cuts from the city and the staffing cuts were limited a little bit, but
I will send the link to register. I'll look that up. National Night Out. Oh, by the way, Steve Everhart, I did register nationally. I did not do it with the city yet. Did you?
No, you usually end up doing it, but
Okay.
since you know how to do it.
Well, I don't have to look it up, but I can find that. Okay.
Carol, our Mon 13 gets registered, and we've had fire trucks show up and politicians show up, right?
Yes.
It's a pretty good event.
Great.
Yeah.
And I can give you the other half of the story. We used to register, we haven't done it for the last few. August is such a terrible month that half of my neighbors are not here. That's a vacation time. So it's kind of hard to do it. But even when I have registered and we got people out, there were like 2 or 3 that we got nobody from the city. We would get a mail package. I did get the mail package, and also from National too. And we did do it, and it was fun, but it was kind of sad because we did expect at least somebody from the city to show up. So don't expect that they will show up, because sometimes they don't. And I realized there was a lot of people in the whole city. It's not just in Montclair.
Yeah, I think one of the questions in the questionnaire is how many homes, and what do you have, 10, Debbie?
14, come on.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So they might, size might make a difference.
Yes, that could be part of it, but yeah, they did for a while. We used to always get somebody.
Yeah.
they
What
probably
else,
can't
kids?
turn around in your cul-de-sac, Debbie.
Oh,
Once that big engine gets down there, it's it.
We've got to learn to do this. I'm sorry. Bring the fire truck in when they have to do our inspections.
All right. Who has anything else for the good of the Corps? All right.
Hey,
Well,
Rob, I do have one silly question, and it's only about me. Is there any update on undergrounding? Or should I mentioned it?
no, I will know more. We have a team meeting on June the 14th. I will know more, and I will put it in the newsletter, but there is a project manager assigned to the phase 2. And so design work has begun, but it's a long horizon. The timeline hasn't changed since my last update, which is, it goes out like 4 years before the shovels are out of the ground.
They have a reason to keep on living.
Hey, for those of you who haven't heard this, most of you probably have, Dick Spees once said, "We will all be undergrounded before our wires are." And it's as he and I and Debbie and others get older, it is becoming more of a concern that might be true.
Truism. God, that's funny.
Yeah.
Not
Morbidly
really.
funny, right?
I have never seen a
Some odd years
project.
of comical.
All right, kids, thank you very much. And good attendance tonight. So, we were trying to figure out, I know Doug can't make weekends, or some people can't make weekends, and some people can't make weeknights. So we're trying to kind of move it and shift it and shake it up and see what works. So this was a really good turnout. Thank you all. And I will post the recording in my next email to you.
Great.
Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you so
Robbie.
much.
Thank you, Robbie.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.